In the grim darkness of the far future, no figure is more enigmatic than the Emperor. Every epic tale of the Imperium seems to orbit around one burning question: where did he come from? Despite the countless chronicles, myths, and records, the truth about his origin remains shrouded in mystery, deliberately erased and obscured by the very civilization he created. The Imperium, vast and unyielding, guards his past as fiercely as it wields its armies across the stars. From the moment humanity first looked to the stars, the Empire has been a guiding presence, though one cloaked in shadow. Legends tell of his feats before the Great Crusade, his intellect that surpassed the greatest minds, and his psychic power that seemed boundless even in youth. Yet, every time scholars, historians, or inquisitors attempt to trace his steps through the annals of history, the trail goes cold. Records vanish, oral traditions, conflict, and physical evidence is almost non-existent. The question lingers: was he a god in human form, a mythic savior, or simply the most extraordinary man ever to exist? The Imperium's obsession with erasing the Emperor's past suggests that the truth is dangerous. Perhaps knowledge of his origin could shake the foundation of the faith upon which the galaxy's largest human empire stands. The Ecclesiarchy, the religious institution that worships him as the god Emperor, thrives on certainty and devotion. To reveal that their deity might have once walked as a mortal or worse, was a construct of science or collective will, could spark heresy, rebellion, or despair among billions. Yet, hints persist in fragments of ancient lore, whispered stories, and scattered relics. Tales of the Emperor interacting with humans long before the Imperium existed, or appearing in the guise of legendary figures, tease the imagination. Some insist he guided civilizations under different names, sowing the seeds of knowledge and culture across centuries. These accounts, though never officially confirmed, suggest a being far more complex than a simple mortal. Even the most skeptical historians cannot fully dismiss them, as subtle traces of his influence appear in art, architecture, and mythologies across the galaxy. One of the strangest aspects of his legend is how early accounts describe him not only as a leader, but also as a master of psychic arts far beyond any contemporary human. Tales speak of feats of foresight, precognition, and control over the warp that hint at powers beyond natural explanation. Whether these abilities were innate or the result of some ancient ritual remains one of the galaxy's great mysteries. The Emperor's early life, shrouded in the veil of time, might hold clues to the origin of his extraordinary abilities. But the Imperium has ensured that such clues are almost impossible to find. Some suggest that the Emperor's anonymity in early human history was deliberate. By remaining hidden, he avoided attracting the attention of malevolent forces, particularly entities from the warp that would exploit his power. This secrecy allowed him to observe humanity's development, intervene only when necessary, and prepare for the millennia-spanning plan that would culminate in the Great Crusade. In this sense, his obscured past is not just a mystery but a strategic choice, one that has defined the survival and expansion of human civilization across the galaxy. The question of whether the Emperor is divine or mortal is further complicated by the evidence of his long lifespan. Legends imply that he has walked among humans for tens of thousands of years, witnessing the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Some even speculate that he has existed since the earliest epochs of humanity, shaping events subtly to ensure the survival of the species. This longevity fuels theories that he might be a human perpetual, a rare being capable of near immortality, or even a manifestation of collective human will brought to life. Each theory, however, carries its own contradictions and mysteries. Despite centuries of inquiry, one truth remains constant: the Emperor embodies humanity's greatest aspirations and deepest fears. To some, he is a god, the eternal protector who guides and guards against the encroaching darkness of the warp. To others, he is a man, extraordinary but fallible, whose mortal origins have been sanctified by myth. And to the most pragmatic, he is a product of human ingenuity, a being whose existence blurs the line between science, magic, and legend. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the Emperor's mystery is that it cannot be resolved by mere investigation or analysis. Every fact, every artifact, and every account is filtered through centuries of propaganda, devotion, and deliberate observation. The more one searches for answers, the more the enigma deepens. The Emperor is a puzzle deliberately crafted to elude comprehension, a symbol of humanity's desire to grasp the infinite and eternal. In the end, the allure of the Emperor is not just in who or what he is, but in what he represents. He is the ideal of human potential, the embodiment of survival against unimaginable odds, and the reminder of how little humanity truly understands its place in the galaxy. His past may forever remain hidden, a mystery enshrined by the Imperium to inspire awe, loyalty, and caution in equal measure. And perhaps that is the point. The Emperor's true nature, whether god, man, or something in between, is irrelevant compared to the symbol he has become, guiding billions across the stars, unseen yet omnipresent. The mystery of his origins is not merely a historical curiosity, it is a mirror reflecting humanity, his own fears and ambitions. In seeking to know, the Emperor one also confronts the fragility of civilization, the hunger for immortality, and the shadow of annihilation that looms over every world. Perhaps, in the grim darkness of the far future, the Emperor's true identity is less important than the hope and unity he represents, a force strong enough to shape the destiny of countless generations. Yet, for all the theories and legends, one question remains central. Could the Emperor himself be more than a single man? Some whisper of ancient rituals, forgotten magics, and the possibility that the being humanity calls the Emperor might be the living embodiment of collective human will. This idea, known among scholars and heretics alike as the Shaman theory, will be our next journey. Look into the most popular and enduring explanation for how one man could stand against time itself. Among the many explanations for the origin of the Emperor, none has captured the imagination quite like the Shaman theory. This idea suggests that the being known as the Emperor is not a single individual, but the culmination of thousands of early human psykers or shamans whose souls were merged to create a living, immortal entity. In this interpretation, the Emperor is less a man and more a manifestation of humanity's collective will, a concentrated force of psychic power born from desperation during humanity's most perilous epoch. According to proponents of this theory, the earliest human civilizations faced existential threats from both the warp and internal strife. Thousands of psykers, sensing the impending collapse of humanity, undertook a ritual of self-sacrifice. By channeling their life energy into a single purpose, their consciousnesses merged, forming a being of unparalleled psychic and intellectual ability. In this sense, the Emperor is literally the embodiment of all human potential, a single entity formed from the minds and souls of many. Supporters point to the extraordinary abilities displayed by the Emperor even as a young man as evidence. Legends describe him performing feats of foresight, telepathy, and psychic manipulation that no ordinary human could achieve. He could anticipate the movements of entire armies, communicate across vast distances without speaking, and exert control over the warp in ways that seemed almost divine. These talents, if true, align closely with the idea of a being composed of thousands of minds, each contributing knowledge, experience, and raw psychic energy to a single, unified consciousness. The theory also provides a compelling explanation for the Emperor's longevity. Whereas a normal human lifespan is a few decades, the Emperor has existed for millennia, walking among humanity from its earliest days. If he is a composite of countless psykers, their combined psychic essence could account for his near immortality, unlike a simple human Perpetual, whose longevity comes from a rare biological anomaly. The Emperor's existence under the Shaman theory is a testament to the power of human will made manifest. Critics, however, point out the weaknesses in the Shaman theory. Chief among them is the lack of concrete evidence. No physical or historical records confirm the mass sacrifice of thousands of early psykers. The story exists largely in fragmented myths, whispered accounts, and interpretations of ancient psychic events. Skeptics argue that it may be more poetic than factual, a myth created to explain the impossible powers of a figure who already seems larger than life. Still, even skeptics must acknowledge the allure of the theory. The Shaman theory elegantly explains why the Emperor is both human and godlike, mortal yet immortal. It reconciles the paradox of his presence across millennia with his extraordinary powers. In a universe where the impossible often becomes reality, the idea that the Emperor is a living embodiment of humanity itself is not entirely implausible. Further evidence cited by believers comes from ancient human cultures. Various myths and legends describe powerful leaders or spiritual figures who seem to vanish or act in ways beyond human comprehension. Some scholars interpret these figures as early manifestations of the Emperor, testing the limits of human psychic potential long before the Great Crusade. The recurrence of similar stories across disparate cultures suggests, at least symbolically, that something extraordinary was guiding humanity. Perhaps the nascent Emperor. The Shaman theory also aligns with the strategic genius of the Emperor. Unlike a simple human leader, he demonstrates an uncanny ability to plan centuries ahead, anticipating threats and opportunities in ways that seem almost This foresight could stem from the multitude of minds within him, each contributing its perspective and knowledge, creating a superintelligent entity capable of navigating the most complex and dangerous scenarios imaginable. In practical terms, the Shaman theory paints the Imperium as the ultimate human constructor being formed not through technology or biology, but through sacrifice, will, and psychic unity. Unlike theories suggesting he is a human perpetual or a product of the dark age of technology, the Shaman theory emphasizes the spiritual and psychic dimensions of his origin. It underscores humanity's potential to transcend individual limitations when faced with extinction, turning collective despair into a force capable of reshaping the future. Moreover, the theory offers an explanation for the Imperium's obsessive secrecy regarding the Empire's past. If the populace knew that their god was literally made from the souls of their ancestors, it might inspire both reverence and fear, potentially destabilizing faith. By maintaining a veil of mystery, the Ecclesiarchy ensures that the Emperor remains an untouchable symbol of divine power, while simultaneously protecting the fragile truth of his origin. In the end, the Shaman theory represents more than just a possible explanation. It is a reflection of human hopes, fears, and the eternal longing for immortality. By imagining that the Emperor is the living embodiment of collective human will, we confront the idea that humanity itself can achieve godlike power, given enough unity and sacrifice. Whether true or myth, the theory continues to captivate scholars, heretics, and storytellers alike, offering a lens through which the Emperor's impossibly vast abilities might be understood. The Shaman theory gains strength from how well it explains the Emperor's extraordinary abilities. From the very start of human history, he demonstrated powers far beyond ordinary mortals. Early accounts describe him performing feats that seem impossible for a single mind, controlling the warp, reading thoughts, and predicting events centuries in advance. If he were the product of a collective of ancient psychers, these powers suddenly make sense. Each consciousness contributes knowledge, skill, and psychic energy, creating a superhuman intelligence capable of understanding and influencing vast networks of events. Believers also argue that the Shaman theory clarifies the Emperor's approach to leadership. Unlike ordinary rulers, he often operated in the shadows, manipulating history subtly rather than imposing direct control. This indirect method mirrors the idea of multiple minds working in concert, each consciousness influencing human affairs, some more overtly, some more covertly. The result is a strategy so precise and patient it seems almost omniscient. His interventions in human history guiding civilizations, averting disasters, and even inspiring myths fit neatly into this interpretation. Another point in favor is the conceptual harmony with the human psyche. The theory suggests that the Emperor embodies the collective will of humanity, a literal manifestation of human potential. It explains why so many people are drawn to his vision and authority. They are, in a sense, responding to themselves. Unlike theories that claim he is an alien construct or a product of lost technology, the Shaman theory keeps the Emperor fundamentally human, even if amplified to godlike proportions. This resonates emotionally, providing both a narrative and symbolic logic to his legend. However, the Shaman theory is far from unchallenged. Its greatest weakness is the lack of hard evidence. No surviving records definitively document the mass self-sacrifice of thousands of psychers to form a single being. While legends and fragmented texts hint at such events, skeptics caution against reading myth as fact. The universe of Warhammer 40K is filled with exaggeration, propaganda, and religious revisionism, making it difficult to separate truth from narrative. Moreover, critics point out that the Shaman theory struggles to explain certain aspects of the Emperor's later life. During the Great Crusade, his strategic genius, combat skills, and administrative oversight are so comprehensive that it raises the question: could a being formed purely from psychic fusion maintain individual decision-making consistency over millennia? Some argue that this level of coherence might require more than just collective consciousness. It might demand a single, exceptionally gifted individual. Fan lore, however, adds intriguing layers to the discussion. Some communities speculate that the Emperor may have appeared in multiple historical guises before the unification of Terra, acting as religious leaders, mystics, or legendary heroes. Figures such as ancient seers or rulers who performed seemingly impossible feats are sometimes interpreted as early manifestations of the Emperor's emerging consciousness. This interpretation fits the Shaman theory. Thousands of psychers influencing events, sometimes manifesting individually before merging fully into a single entity. While these claims are unverified, they provide narrative cohesion to a universe that thrives on mystery. Another compelling aspect comes from comparing psychic resonance across millennia. In 40K lore, the Emperor's psychic presence can be felt even by those unaware of his existence. Psychers report dreams, visions, and subconscious guidance linked to him long before the Great Crusade. Proponents of the Shaman theory interpret this as evidence that fragments of ancient consciousness persist within him, influencing the present. In other words, echoes of the original Psychers continue to shape his actions and inspire those attuned to the warp. The theory also provides insight into the Emperor's cautious engagement with humanity. Unlike a godlike figure imposing direct rule, he acts indirectly, allowing societies to grow while gently steering them towards survival. This approach could be a natural consequence of multiple minds working together, some advocating caution, others urging action, creating a balance that guides humanity without overwhelming it. It explains why he sometimes appears enigmatic, merciless, or inscrutable, qualities that would emerge from the consensus of thousands of wills rather than a single mind. Despite its speculative nature, the Shaman theory has endured precisely because it satisfies both logic and imagination. It accounts for the Emperor's godlike powers while keeping him fundamentally human, honors the legends and fan lore, and provides a framework for understanding his strategic genius. Whether or not it is true in the literal sense, it offers a coherent narrative that aligns with the known facts of 40K history. In conclusion, the Shaman theory represents the ultimate blend of myth and logic. It explains why the Emperor can be mortal yet immortal, human yet divine, singular yet collective. While lacking definitive proof, it remains a popular and enduring explanation among scholars, psychers, and heretics alike. For those who ponder the origins of humanity's greatest protector, it provides a story that is as compelling as it is mysterious, a story that will continue to captivate and inspire across millennia. While the Shaman theory captures the imagination, other explanations for the Emperor's origin focus on more tangible possibilities. The human perpetual and advanced technology theories both suggest that, rather than being a collective psychic manifestation, the Emperor might be a single individual, extraordinary in either biology or engineering, rather than magic. These theories appeal to those who prefer logic and evidence over myth, offering a perspective where the impossible could be achieved through science rather than ritual. The human perpetual theory posits that the Emperor is one of the extremely rare humans capable of true immortality. In the vast lore of humanity, a few individuals possess the ability to survive any injury, regenerate, and live indefinitely. These beings are known as Perpetuals. If the Emperor is a perpetual, it explains not only his longevity, but also his intimate knowledge of human behavior and history. Over tens of thousands of years, he would have observed civilizations rise and fall, learning lessons no mortal could. His strategic brilliance, psychic aptitude, and unshakable composure could all be the product of eons of experience rather than mystical merging of minds. Supporters of this theory cite subtle hints within ancient records, accounts of enigmatic figures appearing across human history, performing feats of wisdom or skill that defy ordinary explanation, could be interpreted as manifestations of a perpetual in disguise. Unlike the Shaman theory, which relies on psychic fusion, the perpetual explanation frames the Emperor as a singular genius, biologically extraordinary, whose feats are the result of time, knowledge, and innate capability. It humanizes him while retaining the awe inspired by his abilities. Critics, however, question whether even a perpetual could wield such vast psychic power at such a young age. Many of the Emperor's early exploits suggest not just longevity but immediate, unparalleled skill in both psychic and martial arts. A single perpetual would need explanation for this early mastery, making the theory appealing in some ways but incomplete in others. The human perpetual hypothesis also leaves questions about the Imperium's secrecy. Why would such a being hide for millennia before acting as humanity's unifier, unless there were threats beyond mortal comprehension? The other approach, the advanced technology or dark age of technology theory, suggests that the Emperor is a product of scientific engineering. During the dark age of technology, humanity achieved feats of technological sophistication far beyond what is known in the 41st millennium. Advanced genetic engineering, bioenhancements, and cybernetic augmentation were commonplace. Some scholars argue that the Emperor may have been intentionally created as a living superweapon, a product of long-lost science designed to guide and protect humanity. If true, his abilities would be remarkable, but entirely explainable through science rather than psychic or mystical forces. This theory explains the Emperor's perfect control over his body, mind, and psychic potential. Advanced engineering could have enhanced his brain to process vast amounts of information, his body to withstand extreme physical stress, and his psyche to resist corruption from the warp, rather than being divine or collective. He could simply be the most sophisticated human ever created, a biological and cybernetic marvel designed to endure, lead, and inspire, in a universe ruled by superstition. However, his origins would naturally be obscured, giving rise to the myths that now surround him. Weaknesses of the advanced technology theory include the scarcity of surviving artifacts or evidence from the dark age of technology. Much of this period is lost to time, leaving little more than legends and rumors. Critics argue that while science might explain his abilities, it cannot account for the cultural and psychic impact he had across millennia. Myths, religion, and the sheer scale of his influence suggest that the truth of the Emperor's nature is more than just science, it is also legend. Fan lore adds intrigue to this explanation. Some speculate that he may have been a child prodigy of this lost era, genetically engineered and trained for leadership before humanity's decline. Stories of him appearing as different influential figures, leaders, prophets, or even inventors could be interpreted as part of an elaborate plan to ensure the survival of knowledge and culture across millennia. In this sense, the advanced technology theory blends science and legend, offering a plausible yet still mysterious origin story. In conclusion, the human perpetual and advanced technology theories provide alternative perspectives to the Shaman theory. Each frames the Emperor differently, one as a single immortal human, the other as a product of ancient science. Both offer explanations grounded in logic, yet both leave room for mystery. The question remains, was the Emperor born of human will, engineered by science, or some combination of both? Whatever the truth, these theories remind us that the Emperor is as much a symbol of human potential as he is a figure of legend, standing at the intersection of myth, science, and history. Beyond theories of origin, both the human perpetual and advanced technology perspectives suggest that the Emperor has subtly shaped human history for millennia. Legends and fan lore imply that he appeared under different guises: prophets, kings, or mystics, guiding humanity during times of crisis. Some even speculate that he may have influenced figures as disparate as Alexander the Great, religious leaders, or ancient shamans, though these claims are, of course, debated. The point is less about historical accuracy and more about the consistent theme of a hidden hand shaping human civilization. If the Emperor were a human perpetual, his long lifespan would allow him to witness the rise and fall of countless societies, learning from each and subtly intervening when necessary. Fan lore suggests he acted to stabilize civilizations, avert catastrophes, and plant the seeds of knowledge that would endure for centuries. He may have inspired the development of early philosophy, governance, and even technology, preparing humanity for the era of interstellar expansion. His approach was not to rule directly but to guide discreetly, ensuring that human progress remained on a trajectory capable of surviving the threats of the warp and other dangers. The advanced technology theory complements this idea. As a product of a lost scientific age, the Emperor might have been engineered to preserve humanity's knowledge and culture. He could have functioned as a living repository of data and wisdom, intervening only when necessary to prevent humanity from destroying itself. Fan interpretations often depict him as appearing in ancient temples or royal courts, offering counsel, leadership, or insight that was beyond the comprehension of the people of the time. These stories, while unverifiable, reinforce the notion that his influence was deliberate, calculated, and enduring. Both theories help explain why the Emperor's early life is so poorly documented. Whether as a perpetual or engineered being, his interventions would have been subtle and often obscured by myth. Ancient civilizations rarely left behind records that could survive millennia, and what did remain would be filtered through religious or cultural interpretations. By remaining largely anonymous, the Emperor avoided drawing attention to himself, allowing him to operate safely while the galaxy slowly prepared for the era of the Great Crusade. Fan lore also posits that his anonymity was a strategic necessity. By not revealing his true nature or assuming direct control, the Emperor minimized the risk of interference from malevolent forces, particularly entities of the warp. Subtle guidance ensured that humanity developed resilience, self-sufficiency, and cultural depth, whether through teaching, inspiration, or direct psychic influence. He helped shape human potential while avoiding the pitfalls of direct domination, which could have provoked chaos or rebellion. Examples abound in the fan community. Ancient texts, riddles, and cryptic artifacts are sometimes interpreted as evidence of the Emperor's guidance. Stories of impossible architectural feats, unprecedented governance systems, and prophetic insights suggest that a singular guiding mind, whether immortal or technologically augmented, was influencing humanity long before the formation of the Imperium. These narratives often highlight recurring motifs: wisdom beyond comprehension, timing that always seems perfect, and a presence that inspires awe and fear simultaneously. Interestingly, both theories converge on a key theme. The Emperor's interventions were always measured, discreet, and oriented toward the survival of humanity. Whether he was a perpetual learning from centuries of experience or a product of advanced science executing a meticulous plan, his influence reflects strategic foresight and patience. He did not seek to dominate but to nurture, ensuring that when the time came, humanity would be ready to expand across the stars and confront threats that would have destroyed lesser civilizations. Critically, these interpretations reinforce why the Imperium maintains secrecy around his origin. Revealing that the Emperor was once mortal or a technologically engineered being could destabilize the faith and loyalty of billions. Ecclesiastical doctrine depends on the perception of the Emperor as divine and eternal. Knowledge of his possible human or engineered origins might inspire doubt, rebellion, or heresy, which could jeopardize the stability of the galaxy-spanning empire he has shaped over millennia. Ultimately, examining the Emperor through the lenses of human perpetual and advanced technology theories provides a different appreciation of his historical role. He is not merely a figurehead or a distant deity but an active participant in human progress, a guardian whose influence has touched generations without revealing his full identity. Fan lore emphasizes his omnipresence in critical historical moments, reinforcing the idea that he is both timeless and intimately connected to the trajectory of human civilization. In conclusion, whether seen as a perpetual, a product of lost technology, or a blend of both, the Emperor's pre-imperial interventions demonstrate extraordinary foresight, patience, and influence. His hidden hand guided humanity across the ages, ensuring survival, fostering culture, and preparing the species for the Great Crusade. By remaining anonymous, he preserved the mythic quality necessary for his eventual role as the divine figurehead of the Imperium. The stories, both official and fan-based, create a tapestry in which the Emperor emerges as a guardian, strategist, and symbol of human potential, laying the foundation for the empire that dominates the galaxy in the 41st millennium. Long before the formation of the Imperium, the being humanity would come to call the Emperor appears to have walked among mortals, shaping events in subtle but profound ways. While concrete records are almost non-existent, fan lore and fragmentary historical accounts hint at his involvement as a guiding hand throughout early human civilizations. In myths and oral traditions across disparate cultures, mysterious leaders, prophets, and mystics emerge who perform feats beyond ordinary comprehension. Some scholars and enthusiasts speculate that these figures were manifestations of the Emperor, appearing in different eras under different guises to influence the course of history. These interventions are often described as precise and deliberate, whether as a king in a fledgling city-state, a shaman guiding early tribes, or a mysterious prophet delivering wisdom to humanity. The Emperor seems to have intervened only when the survival or advancement of humanity was at stake. Fan lore sometimes identifies him with legendary figures such as ancient kings, religious leaders, or even mythic heroes, though such connections remain speculative. The common thread is his subtlety. Unlike a conventional ruler, he rarely sought direct power, instead operating behind the scenes, shaping the trajectory of human development without revealing his full identity. One interpretation is that the Emperor's anonymity was strategic. By remaining hidden, he avoided drawing attention from malevolent entities of the warp, which would exploit any exposure of his extraordinary power. His actions suggest a deep understanding of cause and effect across generations, intervening just enough to prevent catastrophe while preserving humanity's free will and natural development. This approach is consistent with both the human perpetual and advanced technology theories, whether he was biologically immortal or engineered. A discrete presence would maximize the chances of long-term success for humanity. Fan accounts often point to remarkable coincidences in ancient history as evidence of his influence. Sudden leaps in knowledge, inexplicable technological innovations, and leaders who seemed unusually wise or charismatic are interpreted as early signs of the Emperor's guidance. For example, myths recount figures who could predict natural events, unite warring factions, or introduce revolutionary ideas. In some interpretations, these were not miracles but the deliberate interventions of an entity with superhuman foresight, ensuring that humanity did not stagnate or collapse. Another theme in the lore is his role as a teacher or cultural guide. Stories describe him introducing concepts of governance, law, and ethics to early societies, seeding knowledge that would endure long after his departure. This aligns with the idea that the Emperor was preparing humanity for the eventual unification of Terra and the Great Crusade, by laying a foundation of stable societies, advanced thought, and cultural cohesion. He ensured that when the era of interstellar expansion arrived, humanity would possess the resilience and knowledge required to survive. Some fan interpretations take this further, suggesting that he may have even influenced figures now enshrined in religious or mythological texts. While entirely speculative, there is a recurring motif of a mysterious, guiding presence appearing at pivotal moments, mirroring the Emperor's broader role in shaping human history. The consistency of this motif across diverse cultures and epochs adds weight to the theory that his influence, though hidden, was pervasive. Importantly, his decision to remain largely anonymous also allowed him to avoid becoming a target for early political and spiritual conflicts. In a world where human belief systems were still forming, overt displays of power could have provoked widespread panic, conflict, or exploitation by supernatural forces. By working in the shadows, the Emperor could intervene without upsetting the delicate balance of early societies. His subtle hand ensured progress while minimizing risk, a pattern that would continue well into the era of the Dark Age of technology and beyond. Fan lore also emphasizes his role as a stabilizing force during existential threats. Tales describe early human civilizations facing environmental disasters, invasions, or internal collapse, only to recover under guidance attributed to a mysterious figure. In some stories, this guidance took the form of dreams, visions, or prophetic insights delivered to key individuals, allowing them to make decisions that would preserve the larger human population. Whether these stories are historical, symbolic, or purely mythic, they reinforce the image of the Emperor as a long-term planner and guardian of humanity. In conclusion, the Emperor's role in prehistoric humanity is framed by subtle guidance, strategic anonymity, and intervention during critical moments. Through direct action, indirect influence, or inspiration, he shaped the development of civilizations long before the Imperium existed. While absolute proof is lacking, fan lore and recurring motifs suggest a coherent pattern. The Emperor acted not for personal glory, but to ensure humanity's survival, advancement, and eventual capacity to thrive across the stars. His hidden hand, guiding from the shadows, became the foundation for the millennia of human history that followed, demonstrating a combination of foresight, patience, and unparalleled wisdom. One of the most enduring mysteries of the Emperor is why he chose to remain largely anonymous throughout humanity's formative history. Fan lore and speculative scholarship provide several overlapping explanations, each reflecting both practical strategy and philosophical depth. At the core, his anonymity allowed him to act without drawing undue attention from humans, rival factions, or the malevolent entities of the warp. Chaos, the ever-present force threatening humanity, is particularly sensitive to displays of immense power. The Emperor, even as a human perpetual or engineered superhuman, radiated psychic and strategic potency that could attract the attention of demons, warp entities, and corrupted psychics. If he had openly declared himself or ruled directly, these forces could have exploited his presence, endangering both himself and the populations he sought to protect. By operating in the shadows, he minimized risk while guiding human development subtly, ensuring that civilizations could advance without drawing catastrophic attention. Fan accounts often describe early figures who acted with extraordinary foresight, solving crises or uniting factions without revealing their identity. In some legends, the Emperor appeared as an advisor, dream, or mysterious traveler, influencing key leaders without taking credit. These narratives underscore the importance of anonymity as a protective strategy. By remaining hidden, he could intervene across generations and cultures, shaping the course of history without exposing himself to the dangers inherent in his power. Anonymity also served political and cultural purposes. Early human societies were fragmented, often warlike, and highly suspicious of outsiders. Direct leadership by an apparently godlike figure could have provoked fear, resistance, or rebellion. By embedding his influence within local structures, guiding leaders subtly, and inspiring innovation and unity without claiming overt authority, the Emperor fostered societal development in a sustainable, non-confrontational way. Fan lore frequently emphasizes the recurring motif of the unseen hand, suggesting that the Emperor's guidance was always designed to empower humanity rather than dominate it overtly. Additionally, some speculate that his anonymity had symbolic value. Operating under various guises or anonymously allowed the emperor to become a universal archetype, a figure whose actions transcended individual identity. He could simultaneously embody wisdom, justice, foresight, and power across cultures and epochs, reinforcing the perception of him as an eternal guide. This versatility may have been essential for shaping collective human belief systems and preparing humanity for the eventual formation of the Imperium. The threat of chaos amplifies the strategic necessity of concealment. Warp entities and corrupted psyches are drawn to psychic energy and ambition. The Emperor's immense abilities could have acted as a beacon for these forces, endangering all human settlements. By remaining hidden, he reduced the likelihood of direct conflict with these entities during humanity's early vulnerable centuries. Fan stories sometimes depict mysterious disasters averted or psychic storms calmed by an unseen presence, reinforcing the narrative that his anonymity was both a shield and a tool. The Emperor's choice to operate anonymously also allowed him to experiment, adapt, and learn. Over millennia, he observed the rise and fall of cultures, testing strategies and interventions without the weight of expectation or the burden of worship. This period of observation may have been essential to his later success during the Great Crusade, where a combination of strategic mastery, political acumen, and psychic power would be required to unify humanity across the stars. In this sense, anonymity was not only protective but educational, allowing him to accumulate knowledge, refine tactics, and understand the long-term consequences of human actions. Fan lore often attributes subtle cultural achievements to his influence. Myths tell of ethical systems, scientific advances, and political innovations emerging seemingly spontaneously, guided by a presence that did not seek recognition. These narratives reinforce the idea that the Emperor's impact was pervasive yet invisible, shaping human civilization while preserving the illusion of autonomous development. By remaining in the shadows, he ensured that humanity grew resilient, resourceful, and capable of self-governance, all crucial traits for surviving both the warp and the tumultuous events of the 41st millennium. Finally, anonymity reinforced the mystique that would become central to the Ecclesiarchai's portrayal of him as a godlike figure. By hiding his origins, personality, and direct actions, the Emperor allowed the seeds of myth, faith, and legend to flourish. The perception of an untouchable, eternal, and divine protector became possible only because his true nature remained obscured. This strategic concealment ensured both reverence and stability across countless generations, protecting not just his physical existence but the ideological framework that would later define the Imperium. In conclusion, the Emperor's choice to remain anonymous was a deliberate, multifaceted strategy. It safeguarded him from the predations of the warp, allowed subtle yet profound interventions in human history, and facilitated the growth of societies capable of enduring the challenges of the galaxy. Fan lore reinforces this image through recurring motifs of invisible guidance, extraordinary foresight, and cultural influence. By walking among humanity without declaring himself, the Emperor ensured that he could fulfill his ultimate purpose, preserving and preparing humanity for a future in which it could survive, thrive, and expand across the stars. Anonymity was both shield and tool, strategy and philosophy, a defining feature of the being who would come to be worshipped as the God Emperor. One of the most enduring mysteries of the Imperium is why the truth of the Imperium is virgin remains deliberately concealed. Across billions of worlds, countless records either omit details or distort the story of humanity's greatest figure. The reasons are as practical as they are philosophical, rooted in politics, religion, and the ever-present threat of chaos. Politically, the Imperium depends on the perception of the Emperor as a godlike figure. If the billions of citizens realized that he might be merely a human, or a product of ancient science, the loyalty and obedience of entire populations could fracture. The Emperor is not just a ruler, he is the embodiment of unity and authority. Knowledge of his mortal or engineered nature could spark dissent, rebellion, or ideological conflicts, threatening the fragile cohesion of the galaxy-spanning empire. In this sense, secrecy is a tool of governance, ensuring stability across vast and diverse civilizations. Religiously, the stakes are even higher. The Ecclesiarchai, the Imperium's all-powerful religious institution, promotes the Emperor as an eternal, divine being. The faith of billions rests on this conception. If it were revealed that the Emperor Izor once was human or engineered rather than divine, it could undermine the foundation of their belief. Heresy could spread like wildfire, weakening the spiritual and social control necessary to maintain order in a galaxy filled with rebellion, xenos threats, and the constant peril of chaos. By preserving the myth of divinity, the Imperium ensures both obedience and reverence, making faith a weapon as well as a source of inspiration. Strategically, secrecy protects the Emperor and the Imperium from external threats. Knowledge of his true nature could be exploited by enemies of humanity, particularly the forces of chaos, who seek to manipulate or destroy figures of immense power. The Imperium's careful control of information reduces the risk of psychic exploitation, subversion, or targeted attacks. By keeping the Emperor's past shrouded, they prevent adversaries from gaining leverage over him, ensuring that his influence remains untouchable and his authority unchallenged. The intertwining of politics, religion, and strategy has created a culture of obfuscation. Official histories often present the Emperor in exaggerated semi-divine terms, while personal accounts and early records are carefully censored or rewritten. Fan lore suggests that even advanced archives are curated to maintain the narrative, blending fact, interpretation, and myth. This selective preservation of history reinforces the Imperium's control, shaping not only what people believe but how they understand their own place in the galaxy. Examples abound. Across human-settled worlds, temples, shrines, and texts emphasize the Emperor's divinity, while avoiding concrete details of his early life. Fan scholars speculate that this approach was intentional, designed to cultivate an image of untouchable power. Propaganda and rituals serve to instill awe, loyalty, and unquestioning obedience, ensuring that billions of people remain united under a shared vision, even as knowledge of his true origin is deliberately obscured. Furthermore, concealing the Emperor's origin aligns with long-term strategic planning. By keeping his nature a mystery, the Imperium can prevent internal factions from exploiting knowledge for personal gain. Political rivals, ambitious governors, or rogue leaders could attempt to manipulate populations if they knew the Emperor was merely human or a product of technology. This careful control of information ensures that no one individual or group can claim authority based on superior knowledge, maintaining the Emperor's unrivaled position at the center of human civilization. Fan lore often adds nuance, suggesting that subtle truths are sometimes revealed to select individuals. Trusted agents, certain scholars, and key leaders may gain limited insight into the Emperor's origins, enough to understand his strategic thinking without threatening the broader mythos. This selective revelation allows the Imperium to operate efficiently, using knowledge as a tool while maintaining the protective veil of mystery for the general population. The consequences of exposure would be catastrophic. If knowledge of the Emperor's true origins became widespread, it could spark religious schisms, inspire cults of heresy, or embolden enemies who see him as fallible. Chaos, ever eager to exploit doubt and corruption, would seize upon such revelations, turning the faith of billions against the Imperium. Thus, secrecy is not merely political or religious, it is survival. In the end, the Imperium's choice to hide the Emperor's truth reflects a balance of power, faith, and existential caution. The myth of a divine eternal ruler serves as both shield and sword, uniting humanity while protecting it from forces that would seek to destroy or manipulate. It is a carefully maintained narrative, reinforced across millennia, designed to preserve the stability of the galaxy-spanning empire. Without this secrecy, the fragile cohesion that allows the Imperium to survive in the grim darkness of the far future might crumble. Secrecy also contributes to the Emperor's enduring legend. By remaining enigmatic, he becomes larger than life, a figure whose authority transcends mortality. This mythic status ensures that even in death or near death, as in the Golden Throne, his influence remains absolute. In this sense, the Imperium's concealment of his origins is as much about maintaining the aura and inspiration he generates as it is about survival or control. While the Imperium's concealment serves political, religious, and strategic purposes, it also intersects with the mysteries surrounding the Emperor's true origin. Scholars, fans, and heretics alike debate whether he is a human perpetual, a product of advanced technology, or the collective soul of humanity known in the Shaman theory. The deliberate ambiguity allows the Imperium to capitalize on all three possibilities simultaneously. By maintaining secrecy, the Imperium fosters a sense of mythic authority. The Emperor is simultaneously human, divine, and beyond comprehension, a figure whose origins are unknowable and thus unquestionable. In practical terms, this ambiguity functions as a founding myth for the Imperium itself. Much like ancient civilizations on Terra had mythic stories of their origins, The Imperium thrives on the notion that its central figure is not simply a man but the embodiment of humanity's destiny. Whether he was a merged psychic entity, an immortal individual, or a technological creation, the uncertainty reinforces the idea that humanity is guided by a higher purpose. Fan lore often frames this ambiguity as intentional. Stories passed down across millennia obscure precise facts while emphasizing his extraordinary deeds, leaving only inspiration and reverence as the enduring truths. Chaos plays a critical role in shaping this secrecy. Warp entities are drawn to psychic signatures, particularly those of immense power. Any knowledge of the Emperor's origins could be weaponized against him. If Chaos learned that he is merely a human Perpetual or an engineered being, it might attempt to manipulate or corrupt him, undermining the Imperium's stability. By preserving the mystery, the Imperium reduces vulnerabilities, ensuring that adversaries cannot exploit his true nature. His mythic status functions as both psychological shield and practical deterrent, discouraging challenges from mortals and demons alike. Furthermore, the comparison of different origin theories illustrates why complete transparency is impossible. The Shaman theory presents him as a collective consciousness potentially more powerful but inherently mythic. The Perpetual hypothesis frames him as a singular, immortal witness to human history. The advanced technology explanation grounds him in lost science, portraying him as a product of deliberate design. Each model carries strengths and weaknesses, but none can be definitively proven. By keeping these possibilities open, the Imperium ensures that no narrative dominates, maintaining reverence without inviting scrutiny. The founding myth concept extends beyond simple narrative control. It allows humanity to rally around a shared symbol in the face of existential threats. Across the galaxy, human populations are dispersed, warlike, and often isolated. The mythic emperor becomes a unifying principle, a figurehead whose divinity or, at least inscrutable nature commands loyalty and obedience. This is essential when considering the constant threat of rebellion, Xenos incursions, and internal corruption. Fan lore repeatedly emphasizes that even fragments of emperor worship are enough to inspire cohesion, as the symbol outweighs precise knowledge of his past. Anti-chaos strategy intertwines directly with this myth-making. Chaos thrives on doubt, heresy, and disunity. Any perception of weakness or fallibility could be exploited. By withholding the emperor's origins, the Imperium prevents chaos from gaining footholds in belief systems or psyche networks. Legends, rituals, and carefully curated histories serve as both distraction and defense, shaping cultural understanding to minimize the risk of manipulation. Fan stories often illustrate cases where incomplete knowledge or deliberate myth allowed populations to resist warp corruption, attributing survival to faith rather than fact. Comparisons across theories highlight how myth and strategy reinforce one another. The Shaman theory implies an inherently spiritual origin, lending divine aura to the Emperor. The Perpetual or technological hypotheses suggest incredible power and foresight, reinforcing his authority as an unparalleled protector. In each case, ambiguity is the key. The Imperium leverages uncertainty to strengthen cohesion, elevate faith, and protect against external threats. By leaving his origins undefined, the Emperor becomes a figure too vast, too complex, and too important to challenge, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of devotion and stability. Fan lore further enriches this narrative. Stories depict early leaders receiving guidance from mysterious unseen forces. Entire civilizations are said to have survived due to timely interventions, sudden technological advances, or strategic inspiration that cannot be attributed to normal human ability. While these accounts cannot be verified, they serve a purpose similar to the Imperium's official concealment. They reinforce belief in an omnipotent figure working behind the scenes. Each legend, prophecy, or miracle strengthens the idea that the Emperor's influence transcends both space and time, ensuring that even the most skeptical populations maintain loyalty and faith. In conclusion, the Imperium's concealment of the Emperor's origin is a masterstroke of combined political, religious, and strategic planning. By keeping his true nature ambiguous, they create a figure who is simultaneously human, divine, and incomprehensible, a symbol powerful enough to unify civilizations and withstand threats both mortal and supernatural. The ambiguity allows for multiple interpretations. Shaman theory, Perpetual, and advanced technology each coexists in legend and lore, reinforcing reverence without requiring proof. Chaos, the ultimate enemy of humanity, finds fewer opportunities to exploit doubt, while the founding myth inspires cohesion, obedience, and resilience across billions of worlds. In the grim darkness of the far future, secrecy is not just practical, it is survival. faith and power all intertwined, preserving the emperor as the ultimate symbol of humanity's destiny. Beyond politics, religion, and strategy, the question of the emperor's true nature invites deep philosophical reflection. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, his identity is not just a matter of historical curiosity, it is a lens through which humanity understands itself, its destiny, and its fears. Each theory of origin, shaman, human, perpetual, or advanced technology carries profound implications for what it means to be human, immortal, and responsible in a universe filled with chaos and uncertainty. The shaman theory presents the emperor as the embodiment of collective human will, thousands of ancient psyches sacrificing themselves to create a single, immortal consciousness suggests that he is not one being, but a fusion of countless minds. Philosophically, this raises questions about individuality and identity. If he is composed of many, can he be said to have a self at all? Or is he a manifestation of humanity's collective striving for survival, knowledge, and continuity? In this view, the emperor is less a person and more a symbol, a conscious reflection of humanity's potential and its deepest fears. This perspective also emphasizes interdependence. The emperor's existence as a collective consciousness suggests that human achievement is inherently communal. The legendary feats attributed to him, strategic genius, psychic mastery, and political foresight, are not the accomplishments of a single individual, but the aggregated efforts of countless minds. It challenges the notion of heroism as singular and suggests that true greatness emerges from collaboration, sacrifice, and shared purpose. From a philosophical standpoint, the emperor becomes an ideal, humanity acting as one, elevated into a form of immortality through unity. Yet the shaman theory has limits. It remains mythic, lacking concrete evidence, and may not fully explain his singular consistency over millennia. Philosophically, this invites reflection on the tension between myth and reality. Does humanity need the emperor to be a literal truth, or is the power of the idea itself sufficient? In the context of the Imperium, the answer seems clear. Whether or not the shaman theory is factually accurate, it provides a narrative that inspires loyalty, hope, and purpose, reflecting humanity's collective aspiration to transcend mortality. The human perpetual hypothesis offers a different philosophical lens. If the emperor is an immortal individual, a witness to millennia of human history, his identity centers on endurance and observation. Here, the question becomes, what does it mean to be human when one has seen the rise and fall of countless generations? Immortality brings perspective, but also isolation. The emperor's strategic patience, subtle guidance, and anonymity could be interpreted as the result of eons of reflection. He observes, understands, and acts not impulsively, but with a depth of knowledge impossible for ordinary mortals. This raises ethical considerations. How should an immortal being wield power? Is intervention justified only when survival is at stake, or should he shape society according to his vision of perfection? The Imperium's history suggests that the emperor favors balance, influencing events without dominating them entirely, guiding humanity while preserving autonomy. Philosophically, this paints him as a steward rather than a ruler, an entity whose authority derives from wisdom accumulated over time rather than coercion. The perpetual perspective emphasizes responsibility, restraint, and the moral weight of knowledge that few mortals could comprehend. The advanced technology explanation introduces yet another layer. If the emperor is the product of ancient science, a creation rather than a naturally evolved being, questions of purpose, autonomy, and ethics come to the fore. As an engineered superhuman, he embodies human ambition and ingenuity, reflecting what humanity can achieve when intellect, biology, and technology intersect. Philosophically, this interpretation explores the boundaries of identity. Is he still human, or is he something beyond, a living artifact designed to serve a purpose? Does being created diminish his moral authority, or does it amplify his role as a conscious agent capable of shaping history? All three theories share a common thread. The emperor represents humanity's confrontation with mortality, ambition, and fear. Whether he is collective consciousness, immortal individual, or engineered marvel, he embodies the desire for survival, mastery over fate, and the hope of transcendence. Philosophically, he is a mirror. Humanity sees in him its greatest aspirations and its deepest anxieties. In this sense, the emperor is less about literal truth than about symbolic resonance. He is a figure who distills the essence of human striving into a singular presence, inspiring awe, loyalty, and reflection. Furthermore, these perspectives invite meditation on the nature of divinity. Is a god defined by power, longevity, or inspiration? The emperor challenges conventional definitions. He may be mortal yet immortal, human yet superhuman, singular yet collective. His existence forces the Imperium and humanity at large to reconsider what constitutes divinity, leadership, and ethical authority. From a philosophical standpoint, this ambiguity is essential. The Emperor's unknowability ensures that he remains a symbol, a moral and strategic compass whose authority transcends empirical verification. Finally, the Emperor's role as a reflection of human obsession with immortality and survival cannot be overstated. Across the galaxy, humanity confronts annihilation from chaos, Xenos, and itself. The Emperor embodies the hope that survival is possible, that wisdom, strategy, and sacrifice can protect civilizations against impossible odds. Whether viewed through the lens of Shaman theory, perpetual identity, or advanced technology, he remains a philosophical touchstone, a figure whose existence prompts reflection on power, mortality, and the meaning of humanity itself. Beyond the question of his literal origin, the Emperor functions as a philosophical and cultural symbol. Each theory, Shaman, human, perpetual, and advanced technology, casts him in a slightly different light, but all converge on the idea that he embodies humanity's deepest obsessions: the desire for immortality, the fear of annihilation, and the relentless drive to survive. By examining these interpretations together, one can see how the Emperor reflects not only what humanity is, but what it hopes, fears, and dreams to become. The Shaman theory frames him as a manifestation of humanity's collective will. In this view, the Emperor is the ultimate symbol of shared aspiration, a being composed of countless minds who sacrifice themselves for survival. Philosophically, he represents the idea that immortality is not an individual pursuit, but a communal one. Humanity's survival, knowledge, and values are encoded in his consciousness, ensuring that even as generations pass, their collective legacy endures. Here, the fear of extinction is transformed into a triumph of unity. Death is overcome not through singular might but through shared purpose. By contrast, the human perpetual hypothesis emphasizes individual endurance. As a single immortal being, the Emperor confronts time itself, witnessing the rise and fall of civilizations. He embodies humanity's obsession with surviving beyond natural limits and mastering fate. The moral and philosophical weight of this interpretation is profound. Immortality carries isolation, responsibility, and ethical dilemmas. The Emperor must choose when to intervene and when to allow events to unfold naturally, reflecting the tension between control and respect for human agency. In this sense, he mirrors humanity's fear of being powerless in the face of chaos, while also offering a vision of hope through persistence and wisdom. The advanced technology explanation highlights human ingenuity and ambition, engineered or augmented by science lost to history. The Emperor represents the desire to transcend natural limitations through intellect, engineering, and foresight. His existence as a technological marvel embodies humanity's belief in mastery over nature and destiny. In a universe dominated by uncertainty, chaos, and entropy, the Emperor stands as a testament to what can be achieved when intellect and vision are applied without moral or practical restraint. Philosophically, he reminds humanity of its potential and its capacity to create beings of godlike power. For better or worse, across all theories, a common thread emerges. The Emperor symbolizes the human confrontation with mortality and vulnerability. His mythos addresses existential fears, extinction, irrelevance, and cosmic indifference by presenting a figure who can endure, guide, and protect. This symbolic role is as crucial as any historical reality in the Imperium. Billions of lives, cultures, and belief systems rely on the notion of the Emperor as a being capable of transcending death and chaos. His image reassures, inspires, and focuses collective effort against annihilation. Fan lore amplifies this symbolism. Stories of mysterious interventions, prophetic guidance, and improbable victories across history reinforce the idea that humanity can survive, adapt, and flourish under the watch of a protective, immortal presence. Whether these accounts are factual or mythic, they communicate a consistent message. Humanity's fate is not entirely at the mercy of the universe, provided there exists a guiding force capable of enduring and intervening at the right moment. The Emperor, regardless of the theory, is that force. This symbolic resonance extends to ethical and philosophical reflection. If the Emperor is a collective consciousness, humanity learns the value of cooperation and shared sacrifice. If he is a perpetual, lessons emerge about patience, restraint, and ethical stewardship of power. If he is engineered, the narrative explores the moral consequences of creation, agency, and technological ambition. In each case, the Emperor embodies human fears and desires, making him a mirror for contemplation about morality, survival, and the meaning of existence in a hostile universe. Importantly, The Emperor's role as a symbol intersects with the Imperium's ideological and spiritual structure. Faith in him, whether grounded in literal divinity, mythic reverence, or awe at his extraordinary abilities, allows billions to maintain cohesion, resist chaos, and act collectively. His ambiguous nature ensures that he is above reproach. No theory can be definitively proven, leaving him untouchable in the cultural, religious, and philosophical sense. This ambiguity itself becomes a mechanism for survival, both for the Imperium and for the human species. Ultimately, the Emperor represents the duality of human aspiration and fear. He is a being who confronts mortality, chaos, and the unknown, offering both guidance and caution. He embodies the desire to endure and the dread of extinction, the ambition to master destiny, and the humility to recognize limits. Whether understood as collective will, immortal individual, or technological creation, he reflects humanity's constant struggle with its own impermanence. In this way, the Emperor transcends history and politics. He is philosophy made flesh, an enduring symbol of what humanity hopes to become and what it fears to lose. By examining all three theories together, it becomes clear that the Emperor's significance is not solely historical or political. His importance lies in his role as a conceptual anchor for human civilization, a figure whose existence challenges, reassures, and inspires. Philosophically, he allows humans to grapple with questions of life, death, purpose, and legacy in a universe where survival is never guaranteed. He is both mirror and guide, cautionary tale and beacon of hope, encapsulating the full spectrum of human ambition, fear, and potential. After exploring theories of origin, historical influence, and philosophical significance, one truth becomes clear: the Emperor's full nature is likely unknowable. From Shaman theory to human, perpetual, and advanced technology hypotheses, every perspective offers insight but no definitive answer. This ambiguity is not a flaw in the lore, it is its defining feature. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, the Emperor's mystery shapes not only the Imperium but the way humanity perceives itself, its destiny, and its place in a vast, hostile universe. Throughout history, as examined in the previous sections, the Emperor has appeared as both guide and shadow. In the prehistoric era, he influenced leaders, prophets, and civilizations subtly, ensuring that humanity survived and advanced without revealing himself. His interventions were calculated, precise, and often invisible, reflecting the extraordinary foresight implied by the human perpetual or advanced technology theories. The Shaman theory frames these actions as the collective effort of countless ancient psykers, yet all narratives converge on one point: his influence was profound and enduring. The Imperium's deliberate concealment of his origins reinforces his mythic authority. Politically, religion, and strategy all demanded secrecy. To reveal that the Emperor might be merely human, immortal, or engineered could fracture faith, inspire heresy, or expose vulnerabilities to the forces of chaos. By hiding the truth, the Imperium created a founding myth: the Emperor as an eternal, divine protector whose guidance transcends time and comprehension. This mythic framing strengthens cohesion, loyalty, and obedience across billions of worlds, ensuring the survival of human civilization. Philosophically, the Emperor embodies humanity's deepest obsessions: immortality, survival, and mastery over fate. Through the lens of Shaman theory, he represents collective human will and the potential for unity. As a Perpetual, he is an immortal observer, bearing the responsibility and wisdom accumulated over millennia. Through advanced technology, he becomes a testament to human ingenuity and ambition, a living reminder of what civilization can achieve. In all interpretations, he reflects humanity's fears of annihilation and its desire to endure beyond natural limits. This symbolic function is central to his enduring relevance. The Emperor's mystery allows him to serve as both moral compass and aspirational figure. Fan lore, legends, and historical interpretations all emphasize his role as an unseen guide, a being whose actions protect and direct humanity even when his true identity is hidden. By remaining unknowable, he becomes larger than life, a figure whose presence commands respect, inspires devotion, and encourages reflection. His ambiguity allows people to project ideals, hopes, and fears onto him, making him simultaneously human, divine, and beyond comprehension. In many ways, the Emperor's mystery is itself his defining characteristic. In the absence of definitive knowledge, humanity constructs meaning, belief, and strategy around him. The very fact that his origin is unknown amplifies his authority and the power of his myth. It compels reflection, fosters faith, and ensures survival in a galaxy rife with chaos, xenos threats, and internal strife. The Emperor's unknowable nature is a protective mechanism, a philosophical anchor, and a narrative device all at once. Ultimately, the Emperor is a mirror of humanity. He embodies our aspirations for immortality, wisdom, and unity, while confronting us with the realities of mortality, uncertainty, and cosmic indifference. He challenges humans to consider the weight of power, the responsibility of knowledge, and the consequences of ambition. Whether he is a collective consciousness, an immortal individual, or a technological marvel, the Emperor's story forces us to grapple with the essence of what it means to survive, to lead and to endure in a universe where certainty is impossible. The beauty of his mystery is that it invites continuous exploration. Every theory, legend, and interpretation contributes to a richer understanding of his significance, even if it cannot reveal the ultimate truth. Scholars, fan theorists, and citizens alike are drawn into speculation, debate, and reflection, recognizing that the Emperor is as much an idea as a being. In this sense, his legend is self-perpetuating. The pursuit of understanding reinforces the myth, and the myth sustains the Imperium. In the final analysis, the Emperor's true nature may never be revealed. The Imperium's concealment, the ambiguity of ancient history, and the philosophical weight of his symbolic role ensure that the mystery endures. This enduring uncertainty is not a weakness, it is central to his power, relevance, and meaning. The Emperor's legacy is defined not solely by what he did or who he was, but by what he represents. The enduring spirit of humanity striving to survive, master its fate, and confront the infinite darkness of the universe. Perhaps the ultimate truth about the Emperor is this: the mystery itself is his essence. In a galaxy where certainty is rare, where chaos lurks, and where mortality dominates, the Emperor remains untouchable, unknowable, and eternal. The search for his origin mirrors humanity's own search for purpose, understanding, and survival. As long as that quest continues, the Emperor's legend will persist, inspiring adored devotion and reflection across millennia. The more we seek him, the more we confront our own limitations, fears, and desires. His mystery is not merely a story, it is the essence of what makes humanity human. In conclusion, the Emperor is simultaneously history, myth, philosophy, and symbol. He is the ultimate paradox, human yet eternal, mortal yet omnipotent, known yet unknowable. Every attempt to define him reveals only the contours of human aspiration and anxiety. His story is unfinished, his origin hidden, and his influence unparalleled. In the end, the Emperor's greatest truth may be that there is no single truth. The mystery itself is the measure of his power, the foundation of his authority, and the enduring heart of the Imperium.